And we'll bring on our next presenter. So that's John Zubek from Michigan State. And John should be coming on now. Oh, that's
Hello.
a cool background.
Can you hear me? Is my audio on?
Yep.
It's okay.
Hear
Okay.
you loud and clear. So I'm going to
Excellent.
share screen and kick it off.
Let's share. All right. Well, greetings, everyone. And thanks to 80 Instruments as well for the invitation to share some of what we do at Michigan State University, particularly in this Brain Trust event. So my name's John Zubek. So I teach a 300 level physiology lab, sort of an upper level consisting of some of the traditional physiology type stuff that all of us do, but we also look at a lot of the clinical concepts and also start to work on some of the professional skill development that we want to incorporate into these students, since many of them are going into healthcare as a career aspiration. So some of the professional skills that we include come from a variety of sources. So to kind of figure out where do we go with this, right? We went to Carrington's College of Healthcare Professionals, some of their top 10, what they like to refer to as soft skills. I know not everybody likes that term, but these are some of the things that healthcare professionals need to be able to do so that they can be effective professionals. So empathy, dealing with criticism, self-confidence, those kinds of things. Some of the other things in order to conquer these and help them at least introduce these topics and review them to some degree, mastery is going to be, of course, many years away, is we utilize some other resources as well. So things like Belbin's team approaches, so they can take on a variety of roles. S-bar communication, so that they're learning some specific healthcare communication that they'll be using in the future. Other things like professional self-assessments, productivity and time management, clinical and everyday ethics, regulatory compliance, interprofessionalism. We even do a little bit of introductory SOAP note writing in one of their post-lab modules. We also get them used to reducing some clinical jargon with clinical abstract reductions using particular types of online software. And then we even get down to the nitty-gritty is what is a fact and what is just basic information. So when they're relaying information to their patients or clients or whatever it might be, is it grounded in actual science and grounded in actual fact? So as many of you who use LT are familiar, we obviously have a number of activity panels that are very similar. We sort of set up our course a little bit differently in that we have a pre-lab modular course, we have a lab modular course, and then we have a post-lab modular course, and that's for each section. So this is an example of a screenshot of our post-lab modular course. And within it, we embed a number of professionalism modules. Some of them are physiology-based, some of them are more professional skill-based, but within these, we utilize a variety of activities similar to what you guys might do. And I'll give you an example of those here momentarily. But then we challenge the students to utilize these during the lab session. And then we monitor them as well. And we allow each of the students to give each other feedback, as well as feedback that we provide. Some of the newer ones that we're doing, we're sort of stepping into a higher echelon, and we're looking at, patient compliance. We're looking at how to deal with difficult people. We're also utilizing some outside resources to help students learn, what is it to be harassed in a healthcare environment. A lot of these healthcare institutions don't have really good policies on what employees can do and how to protect themselves. So these are things that we're also working on for professionalism. This is just a quick little snapshot of one of the rubrics that we also use for grading the students. And you may not be able to identify each of the words on the page, but we kind of compartmentalize it as completeness. So have they filled out the graphs completely? Have they created the legends appropriately? Have they put all of the data in that they were supposed to collect? So we want them to finish what they started and do it appropriately. We have sort of a professionalism approach where we look at teamwork, time management, lab attendance, participation, those kinds of things, and then the correctness aspect. And we use LT's very robust grading tools to grade on this part for the correctness component, and then we combine it with our professionalism. So what kinds of activities do we incorporate? We do self-reflections, so the students assess their own soft skill, technical, and knowledge-based competencies, both at the beginning and at the end of the course. We use case study analysis, where they assess physiological concepts along with ethical decision making. And this is not like, end of life decision, ethical decisions. These are everyday little decisions that healthcare providers might need to make. And it kind of sets their pathway, right? So what kind of professional do you want to be can sometimes depend on these small little decisions. We use a lot of video simulations, particularly for teamwork and effective communication strategies, and then we challenge them to utilize these strategies during lab. We've gotten into utilizing SCORM and API modules. We use a particular software called iSpring. It's not a cheap kind of software, but it does create really great interactive modules. These can't be uploaded directly into LT just yet, but from discussions with some LT people, I've heard that maybe API modules might be a possibility down the road. So if that's true, that'll be a great way to incorporate these. We do mock telehealth discussions. So when we went to COVID lockdown, this was a great way for students to have discussions, doing a little bit of role playing based on data and understanding with some pathological conditions as the focus. And then we've also been testing out a lot of H5P activities. So these are free. You can test these out yourself. Some of them can be incorporated into LT, and all of them can be incorporated into your LMS. Some of them are similar to what LT can do. So you have some hotspot analysis or drag and drop, but there's also other things like keyword identification or some of these sort of choose your own adventure video applications that you can infuse. So they're kind of fun, and like I say, they are free, so they're good to try out. What are students saying? Well, some of them have told me that during their interviews for post-professional programs, they've had something to talk about. So whether it be ethics, they were provided an ethical situation, or some professionalism questions that they were offered, they had something to talk about, and they felt like they had some tools and concepts to work with. Other students just enjoyed having some professionalism as part of the course because it's a little bit different than what they were used to. So while I'm sure that all of us incorporate professional skills development, the focus that I've been taking is that we want to do it explicitly. We want to frame it as such so that the students know that it is part of our curricular objectives. And we can't evaluate everything they do, but we make it a meaningful part of the course so that they understand that we are assigning points to it and that they sort of hold each other accountable as well. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions if there is time available.
Yep, plenty of time. Thanks, John. So one just come in from Rob. So it's excellent approach. Are there professional skills results shared with groups outside of the course, student affairs, etc.?
Outside of the course, so basically we have the students aren't sharing them with other students particularly, but they're sharing them within their small groups primarily and with us. If that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, we certainly promote this so that we encourage other courses within our curriculum maybe to adopt some of these professional skills so that we can work with each other and reinforce them a little bit better. But certainly, having them embedded within an entire curriculum would be the best way to do it.
Yep. Just pointing out, maybe if others do want to be reaching out to you, I saw you had your contact details before. If you wanted to go back to a previous slide, and I'm pretty sure I saw you put on one of the boards as well, just in case.
Yes.
Cool. So another question from David Sly. So David had the realization this morning that LT could be used for teaching digital health, e.g. telemedicine, signal analysis, data science, like you mentioned. Any further comments on this?
I we feel like it's a really good interactive tool in order to introduce a lot of these topics. Like I said, we're not teaching mastery of any of them since it's really a continuum of a process. But we certainly can utilize LT very, very powerfully to incorporate these strategies and concepts, and then they use them on the day of the lab. So it seems to put them in a position where they are holding each other a little bit more accountable so that we don't have to hold them accountable for some of these professional skills. We want them to, not come to class thinking that they're just coming to class to learn, since they're going to be lifelong learners. They're going to be learning outside of a course for the rest of their life, but now it's time to sort of incorporate, this is my job today. This is what I've come here to do. My focus is on my partner, my group, on helping others, learn the concepts as well as I know them. But I think it can be a very good digital tool. And I've been really excited about a lot of the ways that we can embed interactive activities that promote this professionalism into LT.
Uh, won't be too draconian on timing now. Just a couple more questions. So Amanda's wondering if you have an example of coaching. Can you give one, please?
So we have situations where we'll sort of set students up in a maybe a conflicting environment, and then we watch how they resolve the situation. Maybe an ethical situation or something that's related to a physiological concept, and then we'll sort of be a coach, and we'll say, okay, so how might you redirect that question, or how might you redirect that piece of that constructive information that you gave your partner. And then they kind of work it out, but we just sort of encourage them to move in a particular direction when they get stuck. So we are a little bit lucky. So we have, myself as the instructor, and we have a teaching assistant and a learning assistant in the class at all times. So we can make rounds and do a lot of this as much as we possibly can. I know with much larger classes, it's more difficult.
Cheers. And last question from Ryan, who's our keynote tomorrow, actually. What are some of the ways in which the courses integrate? Sorry, what are some of the ways in which the course integrates into face-to-face skills? Are there any ways that you're assessing the students' confidence in their professional skills?
We hope so. So we're sort of working on ways that we can measure these skills a little bit better. This has been one of the main challenges. We work very closely with the professor who teaches the lecture component of the course, and teamwork is a major focus of both of our courses. So when she does her case study analysis, we're trying to incorporate similar skill development and similar role playing within their groups so that we can reinforce it. And then we're actually looking towards coming up with some other ways to measure that a little bit better. We think that they're more willing to share, but that's really the only main objective assessment that we can, I guess, and it's not even that objective, but at least the students tell us they're more willing to share.
All right, cheers for that. So once again, thank you, John. Awesome presentation and for answering those questions. So we're going to bring on our next presenter. So it's Patricia Halpin, and yeah, she'll be coming on soon, or already is. And thank you again, John.